Hello and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I just want to take a moment and talk about some of the things that popped up over the end of last week and touch base with you all before a new week officially begins. So let's do it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the SAG-AFTRA strike. If you don't know what SAG-AFTRA is, it stands for, well, the first part at least stands for the Screen Actors Guild. I'll put the whole name up here on the screen. And basically it represents the union that represents all working actors and on-camera talent. And I'm sure other people, but for the most part, that's what that union represents, actors, on-camera working talent. And it is a union that exists to make sure that they have things like health insurance and that their work environments aren't incredibly toxic and untenable. They had been in conversations and contract negotiations with an organization called the AMPTP, which stands for, you guys don't know how many times I've tried to say what it stands for, and it's a lot of words all together. It's kind of like Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers to me. Like, it's a tongue twister for me for some reason. The AMPTP, they represent the studios and the heads of studios in Hollywood. And these two entities were trying to come to contract negotiations regarding several issues that have to do with being a working professional in Hollywood. In fact, the Writers Guild of America has actually already been on strike for the last 11, almost 12 weeks. So that's almost 3 months of writers in Hollywood not allowing themselves to take on new projects, not allowing themselves to send out their work to be considered for new things, and just being on the picket line because they're trying to accomplish a lot of the same things that the SAG-AFTRA union is trying to accomplish. It's a long, long list, and I will include an article below that really goes into detail, but some of the things that popped out to me were very, it almost is, it's crazy that this kind of unfair practice was allowed to continue as long as it did. But one of the things that popped out to me for sure was the discrepancy in income between what the studios make and what the actors and writers on specific projects make concerning the things we watch on streaming networks. So something like this actually already happened because of streaming networks back in like 2007 and 2008. When streaming first became a big thing, the writers in Hollywood went on strike because what they make for their work is so different when people view the work through streaming avenues versus viewing it through like network TV. So back in the day, if you were a writer or an actor in a television show, you could star on a project for a little bit or maybe even just do a guest role. And eventually your show, if it was on for, I think there's a threshold for how long it needs to be on the air and how many episodes need to run. But if it met that threshold, it would go into syndication. And every time an episode aired, you would make money. There are people that were on a television show and they live off of residuals for the rest of their lives, which a residual payment is just a payment that you get every single time you appear in a TV show or in a project that airs in syndication. And there's actually a bar in LA, in Studio City. It features in the show Barry. And I had 2 first dates there when I lived there, but it's called residuals. Like, it's a popular concept if you're a working actor or working writer. And sometimes your residual payments will be really bleak, but sometimes it's really good money. And the fact of the matter is that now a lot of people mostly watch their content through streaming. I know me, I'm in that way, I'm kind of part of the problem because I watch a lot of Hulu. I watch a lot of HBO Max, I watch a lot of Amazon Prime. Like, that's where I watch most of my shows. It's very rare that I catch a show for the first time on network television. In fact, I don't even have a cable box. Like, I don't have an antenna. I have internet and I have my Roku stick. And so I stream everything. And the reality of that for writers and actors is that they're not making the money they used to.
We all remember back in the day there was 22 episodes. It would start in the fall and we'd all watch that. And there was like 9 months of work. Now they have this new thing, streaming short series, 10 episodes. It takes like 4 or 5 months to do it. You do that in good faith, you agree to it, you say that, and then they hold that show. Decide whenever they want to drop it all at once, and then they can wait 1, 2, even 3 years to let you know if you're even picked up. Not even if the show's picked up, if you're going to be picked up on that show. That's painful.
And it's so bad, and I don't think people understand this because people think of jobs in the TV industry as being well-paying and you got deep pockets. But according to people who actually work in the industry, sometimes they're not even making a living wage.
I know it may not seem like it, but there are very few actors who are actually wealthy. Then there are some actors who are rich. But for the most part, the actors that make up the entertainment industry are working check to check.
So SAG actors are going on strike. What does that mean? My name is Luke Cook. I'm an actor from The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Katie Keene, Dynasty, Dollface, and I am not a millionaire. I drive a 2010 Mazda S3. My previous car was a 2006 Ford Taurus. 95% of the actors in SAG cannot make a living from acting. They've got to have side hustles, etc. I am one of those actors. So the actors that you're thinking of who are the millionaires are usually series regulars or big A-listers in big movies. The actors who surround them, though, are actors like myself, guest stars, co-stars, etc. And we're paid chips. I'll give you an example. I did a show called Dollface last year. They put me on a billboard on Sunset. Do you know how much they paid me to be on the billboard? $0. The amount that they paid me to be in the show was not much better. So I live in Los Angeles and I have 2 kids. I got paid per episode, which is 2 weeks of work, $7,500. Then it's taxed. Then a manager takes 10%, an agent takes 10%, and a lawyer takes 5%. Now I am one rung below a series regular who is making maybe $100,000 sometimes per episode. They're very wealthy and they're worth it too. They're usually very talented people. A huge portion of this strike is about people like me who need to be paid more for the work that they do and let them have a portion of the profits that these streamers and these big companies are bringing in.
And then on the other side of this, the part that is not necessarily related to just their income, but really the legacy of their performance and their work in these industries altogether, you have the way that studios are trying to use AI to basically substitute the work that actors and writers would bring into a project completely.
Say we don't want a movie or a series to end, it doesn't have to. You could use AI to continue to generate more episodes, another sequel, and have this kind of ongoing storyline. For example, maybe you actually subscribe to Lord of the Rings as a franchise, or Succession as a series, and you continue to generate more. And then there is a world where eventually, maybe we get home from work, and we say, I'm in the mood for a rom-com, I've gotten my heart broken, or whatever it is, and AI generates something for you.
Could you even, like, choose the actors? Like, do you know what I mean? You could be like, I want one with Meryl Streep and Hugh Grant, and it would do...
Yeah, so a world where we even one day maybe subscribe to actors, and their AI appears, absolutely.
So there has been talk of studios saying, you know what we're going to do? We're actually going to not hire any background actors anymore, and we're just going to replace the background with AI. We're going to have everybody just be an AI person. So when the actors go on the scene, they will be interacting with themselves, and then we will go back and post and put in fake characters. This has actually been happening for a while, but the extent to which they want it to happen in order to be able to not have to pay background actors is almost dystopian. It's incredibly greedy, and it's scary. And then on top of that use of AI, something else the studios want to do is they want to completely replace writers with artificial intelligence programs that will just write the scripts. They basically feed these programs several scripts, and the program is able to spit out a script that is really similar. So, you know, like your Hallmark movies, well, those could already be written by AI, and I don't think anybody cares. But no, I actually was taught by someone in one of my screenwriting classes who wrote for Hallmark. So those are written by real people. But that's a great example of something that you could just feed scripts into a system and just spit out a holiday movie. You could have a whole network that was just AI-generated holiday movie scripts. And actors show up, shoot the scripts, and that's it. And you basically wipe out an entire part of the Hollywood production system. And another way that they're looking to abuse AI is getting an actor's likeness, getting their face and their voice on camera one single time, and then using that face and that voice and that likeness over and over again for projects that come in the future. It's really scary, and according to a lot of people that work in AI that know way more about this than I do, there are programs out there that are so smart that they are capable of doing way more than what I just listed right now. Now, here's why I think you and I should care. We benefit from these projects. You know, I get up here and I told y'all I was going to be talking about TV and stuff, but I'll be watching no TV that you guys would actually care about. I'm going to try and watch the new Bachelorette because she is Black and, you know, maybe I'm interested in that. I don't know. I might watch that. But overall, I just can't keep up. I'm just not, my interest or not, I will go back and watch the same show over and over again. That's the kind of person that I am. So there's occasionally a show that's like a zeitgeist opportunity, like everybody's talking about it. So I'm like, let me tap in. But for the most part, I won't be watching nothing y'all would care about. So, you know, but there are a lot of people who their content that they create is completely based on the TV and film that they take in. And on top of that, we benefit from it just from the stuff that we watch. I don't always sit around watching YouTube. I don't always sit around watching TikTok. I turn that off and I go and I turn on my Netflix. I turn on, you know, the other streaming channels I was listing earlier. So we definitely benefit from that. And also there are still some people who would really, really like to work in that industry. In fact, with this strike, there's been a lot of people talking to content creators about how to govern ourselves now that the writers have gone on strike. And that's just because if you're a certain type of content creator, studios might reach out to you during this time to get you to do the work for them that they don't want to pay other people to do. You might get your first shot and you might get something on your resume, but you're definitely going to burn bridges and you're definitely always going to be known as somebody who took advantage of this weird opportunity to put yourself in the industry, and that's not going to bode well for you. So again, I don't think that applies to all content creators. So if you're just, you know, like me giving your opinion on random things, I wouldn't worry about it. But I think if you're the type of person who is, like I said, you're talking about movies and TV, people have advised those kind of content creators to mention the strike, which I guess I'm doing now, but I'm not. Anyway, also, if you're the kind of person who does like skits and the short form content in that way, I could definitely see studios reach out to you and try and get content going, try and get something produced and facilitated. So I think in that case, you do have to be really careful with how you govern yourself at this time. Also, there have been some rumblings that the WGA and SAG-AFTRA might call for a boycott of streaming networks, which that would suck. But I would understand why that was happening, and I would do my best to support. Long story short, when it comes to this issue, it's super interesting for me personally because for a long time I did want to be. I put TV writing, it was just at the top. It was at the top. And I'll be honest with y'all, there's two reasons why I am not heartbroken that I never got into that career. The first is I'm actually a very bad writer. I could write an essay. I could write an article. I could even maybe write a short story. I could write a speech. But when I sat down to try and write scripts, and I did it a number of times, my writing was always so wooden. I didn't know how to translate what was going on in my head to the page. I definitely could see me needing to practice for years and years and years before coming up with something that was good. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm like, it's all right. And the second one is I don't like the lack of safety. And by safety, I just mean consistency. I don't like things where you can't just solidly say, okay, this is how it's going to be. And, you know, one thing that people always talk about when they talk about pursuing these creative careers is for every person that you see that makes it and that's staffed on shows and that has these opportunities, even to complain about the industry, that it's not giving them what they want, there's so many more people that move out there and that try and pursue it and that never get the chance. So I'm not really attracted to a lot of facets of it. I think for me to still want to work in the industry, I would need the Malia Obama experience. You know, my dad is president of the United States, and so Donald Glover reaches out to me and staffs me on one of his shows because he heard that I liked writing or something like that. I think that's how that went. But yeah, I'm not super heartbroken about not being in the industry anymore. And when things like this happen, I'm like, oof, tough, because actors can't promote anything right now. They can't promote any projects. They're walking out of movie premieres. They're walking off of red carpets. This is really a huge shift in the industry as we know it. And I hope that things come to a peaceful conclusion and it happens soon, because if it doesn't, the rest of our year as consumers, as content consumers, is going to shift dramatically. We just heard about the Emmy Awards. Emmy nominations just came out. That show might not even happen, and actors wouldn't be allowed to go as per the rules of the strike. Also, that industry gives people jobs. And so in a way, this is a recession for people that are working in that industry. And yeah, I hope they come to a resolution that works for everyone. Yeah. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, speaking about AI, a cool thing that happened on social media this week was TikTok came out with this old filter. And if you've been on TikTok for any amount of time, if you've been on the internet for any amount of time in the past few years, you know that the concept of being over 30 is like a death sentence for a lot of people. If you mention that you're over 30, if they suspect you of being over 30, that's the first way they will try and clown you. But that's how people view aging in society. That's how people view aging when it comes to women. And for the most part, I would say a lot of it comes from fear. You don't know what to think of somebody who's a certain age that doesn't have ... You fear what might happen to you if you get to a certain age and you don't have ... And a lot of it also comes from extreme vanity. People that are a certain age, they don't look the right way. And based on how they look, this is how they must act. And so it was so funny then when TikTok came out with this filter and people were forced to look their hypothetical older self right in the mirror. When I tell you the reactions, some of them were like, oh, she's not so bad. Or some of them were emotional because you had people who looked a lot like older relatives. That's what happened to me. I used it on myself. And, you know, I have my lurking account so I could pay attention to what's going on. But I did go ahead and make a video on that account. And I used the filter on myself and I looked just like my grandmother and I started crying because I haven't seen my grandma since 2009 when she passed away. But so a lot of people had that, but a lot of people were just like, I need to get a face. I can't look like what is this? What? And I thought it was kind of poetic justice for an app that is so built on the superiority of being young. Like that's like your main claim to fame, your main reason for being able to stand on your high horse and look down on people is, well, at least I'm not 30. And so it was very humbling for everybody to be able to say, hey, no, but if you're lucky, you'll get there and beyond. And I just thought it was interesting watching people see themselves older, have these very passionate reactions, and hopefully come to grips with the fact that aging is a natural thing. You don't necessarily have to be excited about it. It's not like we all are capable of it if we're lucky enough. And so I thought that was I thought that was cool. So AI is definitely something that can be useful and can be fun, but just to go back to what I was saying as far as the television and motion picture industry is concerned, it's horrifying. The creative industry in general should be horrified about the possibilities and the capabilities of artificial intelligence, honestly. All right, that is the end of this video. If you stayed all the way here to the end, I appreciate you. And as always, thank you for watching.